question now is, how do we marry? How do we enter into marriage? The ceremonial for marriage has in its introduction that marital covenant by which a man and a woman establishes a lifelong partnership between themselves derives its force and strength from creation, but for the Christian faithful is also raised up to a higher dignity, since it is numbered among the sacraments of the new covenant. A marriage is established by the conjugal covenant, that is, the irrevocable consent of both spouses, by which they freely give themselves to each other and accept each other. Moreover, the singular union of a man and a woman requires that the good of the child demand this complete fidelity of the spouses and the indissoluble unity of the bond. So that indissoluble unity is established by the free consent of the man and the woman, that are free to give that consent, that as long as they both shall live, they shall love and honor and cherish each other and help each other to be the people that God creates them to be. Marriage is established by God for everyone as a faithful, lifelong communion of love, covenant of love, committed to an openness to children and the betterment of the spouses. But for the Christian, Jesus asks us to be a public sign of his love for his people, the church. And so that consent is so very important. In the Catholic Church, we obligate those that are in full communion with the church to give that consent in a public forum according to a set ritual. So it's very clear to the parties and to the public exactly what they're agreeing to. It's one of the reasons we don't have people write their own vows and have just a private ceremony at some beautiful place. But that exchange of consent in the Catholic Church occurs at the altar, in the sacred space of the church, so that visibly it is clear that these two are making a commitment to each other and to God. For non-Catholics, whether they're baptized or not, they're obviously not obligated to get married in a Catholic church. But wherever they give their consent, and wherever their community of faith would recognize that consent being valid, the church recognizes it. So two Baptists want to get married at the Justice of the Peace, that's fine. Or at the communion table in their church, in the sanctuary of their church. The important thing is always the consent of the two parties, because the presumption is that every wedding produces an authentic bond of two people freely giving themselves to each other until death do they part. Sometimes it's not God that joins the couple together. It's pressure, it's greed, it's manipulation. Those would be problems that we'll deal with later. But what we want to be mindful at this point is the sacredness of every commitment is presumed, that we always believe people mean what they say. So that in the marriage ceremony, the man and the woman freely giving themselves and then living that out. And for Christians, living that out with the help of God's grace. May God bless us.